Hello everybody. Welcome to another video here on the channel. I haven't uploaded in a while, but I decided to do an upload today because it is coming near the NFL draft, which is going to be just a day away from the day I'm recording this. It's going to be probably a little less than a day for you guys when you end up seeing this, probably the same night I record it. I'm going to probably record it earlier in the morning. It'll come out that night. But I'm here with my 2020 NFL mock draft. I'm going to release two of these. This one is kind of a lot of different trade scenarios that I could see. I do have my big board here as well. I have my top 64 players. I was going to upload a video for that, but I'm not going to get to that, sadly. Maybe I will, I don't know. But we're going to start things off with this 2020. It's basically just going to be a bunch of trades with the first pick. It's basically, if you're following the draft, you all know Cincinnati Bengals are going to go Joe Burrow, former Ohio State quarterback, transferred to LSU, and just blew up. Who knows? Maybe Ohio State could have won a national championship if he stayed and maybe won out the job. But Justin Fields may have never came. Maybe Fields went to LSU. You never know. A lot of stuff could have happened, but that's how the college football world played out this year. With the second pick, I have a trade with the Browns and the Redskins. This is what I heard yesterday, and I think that if this trade happens, the entire draft would be shaken up, which is why I have probably 10 or so trades around here, a lot of different trades. And in return, the Washington Redskins would be sending the second overall pick to Cleveland, as well as Trent Williams, giving the Browns their tackle of the future. The Browns would be sending them the 10th selection in the NFL. It would give them the 10th pick in the NFL draft. They would also give them one of their third-rounders, their fourth-rounders, as well as pass rusher Olivier Vernon and wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. It might be a bit of an overpay, but then right after that, I have the Cleveland Browns trading the second overall pick to the Las Vegas Raiders for the 12th pick, the 19th pick, as well as a probably, third, fourth, fifth round selection, with some more late round picks since the Browns obviously just gave up a third and one of their thirds and their fourth to move up to number 2 and just make this deal happen. So with the second pick, I have John Gruden getting Chase Young. With Mike Mayock scouting, I think there's no doubt he would want Chase Young there, and I think they may be willing to give those two first to get that pass rusher for Gruden. With the third pick, I have a trade between the Chargers and the Lions. Obviously, it's going to be a pick swap, and then probably a third or a fourth and a third, like a fourth and a sixth, just to move up here where the Chargers are going to take Justin Herbert. I think when it comes to talent, Justin Herbert, I think he's probably the third best quarterback in the class. Not too far behind Tua, but the injury concerns for Tua are huge, and that's why I think we're going to see a huge slip for him. And I think this is probably unrealistic, but with all these trades moving around, I think this slip could possibly happen if the draft plays out like this. With the fourth pick, I have the New York Giants selecting Jeffrey Okudah. They haven't had a number one corner in years. Janoris Jenkins has not been a number one guy for a few years. DeAndre Baker is not that guy. Corey Ballantyne's not going to turn into that guy. So I think if they can get Jeff Okudah, DeAndre Baker as their 2, James Bradberry, who they signed as their 2 corner, DeAndre Baker at the 3, and then Corey Ballantyne could develop into that 3 after James Bradberry leaves. But they get their number 1 corner, and I think that's the type of pick I think I could see Gettleman making a very exciting player on the defensive side of the ball. With the 5th pick, I have the Cleveland Browns trading again. This time they're going to be trading the 12th pick and some late, and then probably throwing in maybe their other third-round selection, or maybe I think they'll throw in their third-round selection because they're going to keep that 4th that they got from the Raiders in that trade. And they're going to trade up to 5 to select Isaiah Simmons, the athlete out of Clemson. He can play safety, edge, outside linebacker, middle linebacker. I think he'll be the middle linebacker for the Browns. That's their biggest need with both Sione Takitaki and Mack Wilson on the outside. I think that they could definitely be going with Isaiah Simmons to play middle linebacker, and that defense could be definitely scary in Cleveland. With the 6th pick via trade with the LA Chargers, the Detroit Lions take Derrick Brown. There's a good chance that if they stay at 3, Derrick Brown could be the pick over Jeff Okudah. They may be a little bit sad that they did not end up getting their number 1 corner. But in the end, they signed Desmond Trufant, who wasn't terrible, and I think he could hold over as the number 1 corner for a year. Especially they could be in the running for a guy like Patrick Surtain from Alabama or Derek Stingley Jr. from LSU in a few years. With the 7th pick, I have the Carolina Panthers selecting Javon Kinlaw. For me, I have Kinlaw ranked as the number 11 player in this year's class. He's going to be a top 10 pick. His talent is so good this year's class. I think it's stacked. I think if there wasn't, if 2 players didn't declare, I think he could be a top 5 talent. I don't know. I shouldn't say top 5. But obviously, I have him just outside the top 10. I think he is a top 10 talent, but I think Tua Tagovailoa at this point is probably going to be outside. And honestly, I think we may have just seen Justin Herbert slide outside of the top 10 as well. So I think that Javon Kinlaw may probably be sliding into people's top 10. With the oh my god, where are we at? I'm so confused. I'm sorry. With the 8th pick, I have the Arizona Cardinals selecting Tristan Wirfs, tackle from Iowa. They definitely are going to need to help Kyler Murray. I think he was one of the 5 most sacked QBs maybe last year, somewhere around top 5 or top 10 sacked QBs last year. Give him a protection with, for me, I think the 3rd best tackle in the class, but the best possible fit there in Arizona. The 9th pick, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars with guys off the board. A lot of people are going to say C.J. Henderson. I have him taking Jerry Jeudy out of Alabama. Give Gardner Minshew a good target, maybe even Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, or maybe even a J.T. Daniels, that type of target when they, after maybe the 2021 draft, when they end up getting maybe a Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, and actually I think J.T. Daniels will probably be the number 3 QB in that class next year. I think he is transferring, but I still think he'll be the number 3 QB. J.T. Daniels is a very good football player. I mean, obviously he's starting quarterback in college. He was fighting for it at USC. With the 10th pick, I have the Washington Redskins via trade with the Cleveland Browns, obviously, we talked about earlier. And this is going to be Jedrick Willis. They traded away Williams. They're going to need some tackle help, and they're going to take Jedrick Willis. They may make him the right tackle, maybe move Morgan Moses over to the left. I think that's who they have. I'm not 100% sure, though. Or maybe Jedrick Willis does play the left. But Williams, I don't think is going to be playing in Washington next year. If he's still on their roster, I think he's going to yet again sit out and just hope somebody trades for him before the deadline. He'll be gone before the 2021 deadline, though. I think there's no doubt about that. Let's see. We are sitting here with the 11th pick. The Jets take Andrew Thomas. I think they would have went Jerry Jeudy if he was here, but I think with Jeudy off the board and Thomas still sitting there, I think they got to go with the 2nd best tackle in the class, but due to how it plays out, he's going to be the 3rd tackle off the board. This is the 12th pick, which the Cleveland Browns have via trade with the Raiders. And I have them yet again trading this pick with the Atlanta Falcons, picking up some more late round as the Falcons are going to go ahead. Was this? Yeah, I have the Falcons. No, this is not their pick. This is the Miami Dolphins pick, when the Browns traded up to get Isaiah Simmons, and they're going to trade, and they are going to trade with the Falcons and Dolphins. That's going to be the trade. And they're going to trade, the Falcons are going to trade up to get C.J. Henderson, the defensive back out of Florida. I'm sorry, I can't focus for some reason. I'm, tired apparently. Didn't get enough sleep, maybe, I don't know. But, anywho, C.J. Henderson, I think he's the 3rd best corner in this class. I think Christian Fulton is slightly better. But with all the buzz, I definitely do think we are going to see him as the pick before we do see Fulton, just because of probably how GMs are and from what I've heard. With the 13th pick, I have the Raiders trading with the Eagles. The Eagles are going to trade up and get Henry Ruggs. They could go CeeDee Lamb here, but I think they want Wentz to have that nice speed receiver. They still have, I think, Alshon Jeffrey who can go up and get the ball. So they have a few guys that I definitely do think are going to be able to fit with that team, and I think Henry Ruggs would be a phenomenal fit there. And reportedly, both Lamb and all the receivers are loved, but I think Ruggs is probably going to be the one they're going to trade up to take. At 14, I have the Browns making another trade. Their 19th pick, I have them trading with the Buccaneers to jump in front of Denver to take CeeDee Lamb from Oklahoma. They traded away Odell. Jarvis can't do that on his own with probably Rashard Higgins if they re-sign him, and Damian Ratley. So I think CeeDee Lamb could slide in there. We still have our 2nd-round pick, and I think that we could easily take another receiver there. But I think CeeDee Lamb would be a good addition to this team, And I could see him possibly in 2 or 3 years being a better player than Odell Beckham Jr. in Washington. With the 15th pick, I had the Denver Broncos taking Jalen Reagor, wide receiver from TCU. I know a lot of people are going to be mad that I don't have Justin Jefferson or Denzel Mims going here, and I said I have Jalen Reagor. When my rankings, I have Jalen Reagor as the number 4 wide receiver and the number 18 player in this year's class. I got Ruggs at 14 as the number 3 receiver, Lamb at 13 as the number 2 receiver, then I have Jerry Jeudy at 14 as the number 1. I think there's a solid gap between Jeudy and Lamb. I got Wirfs, Kinlaw. I got Wirfs 12 going up from 12 to 8. I have Wirfs, Kinlaw, Herbert, Thomas, and Tua, all in between the 2 players. I do have Jeudy above Tua. I think Jalen Reagor, his little mini workout video that he released, looks very, very, very good. And I mean, that 40-yard dash was insane. They had 3 different people time it. Some say it might be fake. I don't know. That guy is fast already, and he may have just brought the speed that day. So, I don't think he's doing any PEDs or anything like performance-enhancing drugs to make him faster. I just think he's a pure speed demon, and he was just coming to run. So, next up, we have the 16th pick. This is going to be the Dolphins via double trade down. They're going to go ahead and go Mekhi Becton. They get, for me, the 4th best tackle in this year's class, the number 21 player. His raw talent is, I think, kind of shying me away from ranking him higher. But the Dolphins are a team that can easily take on some raw talents, like, for, say, a Justin Herbert / Tua Tagovailoa. Tua's pretty complete, but his injury kind of makes me think of him as raw. A guy like Mekhi Becton, maybe even like a Josh Jones. Defensive back-wise, I think definitely Jalen Johnson from Utah. I think it's Jalen Johnson. And then A.J. Terrell from Clemson. I think those are the type of players we could try and see them bring in. Some nice raw talents, maybe even Marlon Davidson out of Auburn. And Zach Bond, Wisconsin. Some raw talents. They definitely are one of the teams that I think could take them in, so I think that's why they'll go Mekhi Becton. 17, I got the Cowboys going Xavier McKinney. Some may say K'Lavon Chaisson. Some may say Christian Fulton, Trevon Diggs. Some people may even say Tua Tagovailoa here. I just think Xavier McKinney is too big of a need, and I think if they want to trade for Jamal Adams, I think they definitely could probably have Xavier McKinney as a player in that trade package, giving them a rookie player. As I definitely think they may go something there, but I think giving them Xavier McKinney would definitely be a good thing for them. And I think I could definitely see that happening with the Jets. Honestly, not too far along in the draft. Maybe once the Cowboys or Jets get into like their second, third, fourth round picks, we may hear Jamal Adams trade announced. At number 18, I have the Minnesota Vikings trading up above the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to take K'Lavon Chaisson out of LSU. I think it's a pretty big drop for him, but again, 2nd best edge player in this year's class, number 15 player. He's such a good football player. I think this slide really, I don't know why he would slide like this, but like realistically he won't. But with all these trades and people trading up to get tackles, to get the receivers, like trading up to get CeeDee Lamb, so then Denver takes Jalen Reagor, I think that's why he's going to fall. Next up, the Buccaneers via that trade with the Browns. I got them CeeDee Lamb. They take Cesar Ruiz. And 19, who knows? It might be a little high. But for me, the next best tackle available is Josh Jones, and I think he's a borderline for 2nd-round pick. And I think they get an interior offensive lineman so that in the 2nd or 3rd, that in the 2nd round they could get their franchise running back. And in the 3rd round, maybe they can get a developmental tackle. So, to booster that line. But I think they need to get with their 1st-round pick. For me, either a running back if there's a big-time trade down or a lineman. I don't think a receiver's a pick. A DB maybe, but Vernon Hargreaves, if I'm correct, is still there. Correct me on that if I'm not. Carlton Davis from Auburn, and obviously the emergence of Sean Murphy-Bunting last year. That's the reason that I think they aren't going to go corner. They have 3 good ones, and young ones too. And I think they got to go either an interior offensive lineman, a tackle, or maybe an edge rusher or running back. I think an edge rusher could be possible, especially if K'Lavon Chaisson is there. But I do think that that'd be the safer pick to go with Cesar Ruiz. if all the tackles are gone. At number 20 at the Jacksonville Jaguars going Christian Fulton. I don't think he's going to slip this far. I honestly think he may be a top 15 pick. If C.J. Henderson's still there, the Niners will take him, but I think he'll be gone. And if Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb are off the board, I think they should go Christian Fulton. I think he's the second best corner in this class. I like him a little bit better than I guess I could say I like Henry Ruggs. In my rankings, I only have him 2 spots behind, but I just like that player and fit a little bit better for the Niners than Ruggs. At 21, obviously after we saw a trade, now the San Francisco 49ers are back on the clock. They would have loved Fulton at 21, but instead they go Trevon Diggs out of Alabama. Those two guys are pretty close for me. I think my 2, 3, 4 corners are pretty close. I think 5's another solid drop-off. But I think Trevon Diggs is awesome. The Miami Dolphins with the 22nd pick, I know you guys are going to be like, no way he drops this far. But because of all the trades, especially for the receivers, linemen, and even for some pass rushers, at the 22nd pick, the Miami Dolphins take Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback out of Alabama. Herbert at the 3 pick, and then the drop to Tua at 22 is huge. I think Miami, if they're sitting there at 22, they could maybe even make a trade. I don't even know. There's no way. They may take him at 18 instead of forfeiting that drop for K'Lavon Chaisson, but I think Minnesota is going to give him a good haul. They'll move down. Jacksonville may be the only team they worry about, but if it ends up that way, who knows? Maybe they'll get Christian Fulton or Trevon Diggs, getting a nice other cornerback to play with both Byron Jones and Xavier Howard. I think, because we know Jones isn't going to be a long-term option for them, so I think Xavier Howard and probably another young DB who could maybe play in the slot like a Jeff Gladney would be a nice addition. But Trevon Diggs and Fulton would work too. At 23, got the New England Patriots taking Jordan Love. I think they would take any calls because nobody wants to see Tua in a Patriots jersey. I don't want to see Jordan Love in a Patriots jersey. Realistically, I think the Jags and Saints will make a trade so that Love goes to New Orleans. But the chances are that Jordan Love will probably end up in New England one way or another. But if not, it'll probably be a Jacob Eason. And I think he's probably, when it comes to the top fits at QB, I think it probably, for me, I think Joe Burrow's the best fit there. But it's kind of unrealistic. I'd go Herbert. Then I'd honestly go with Jake Fromm, Jacob Eason, and then Tua. I think Fromm and Eason are both good fits in Belichick's scheme, and they're similar to Tom Brady type player that could really develop not into a Tom Brady, but into one of the better starting QBs in the National Football League. With the 24th pick, New Orleans, Kenneth Murray, best middle linebacker in the class. Some may see Patrick Queen. I personally think Murray's better. Just say what we imported Patrick Queen into Madden twice. I think you go through almost every single stat, like when you go into looking at his attributes, and put it up 2 or 3, and put it up each one up 1, 2, 3, one or 2 or 3. And I think that's what Kenneth Murray is. He's a little taller. Maybe not. He's barely not quite as fast. They're just so similar, and I think Kenneth Murray's size is what's really going to bring. And he has better vertical and broad jump to the combine, which I think his size and athleticism for his size is what is going to draw New Orleans in. Minnesota at 25, they already got K'Lavon Chaisson, their replacement for Everson Griffin. And at 25, they got Jeff Gladney. That's a nice corner for them. At 26, I got the Dolphins going with Antoine Winfield. Some are going to be surprised that I don't even have, Grant Delpit going here. Some are what about Jeremy Chin, Kyle Duggar? I have Antoine Winfield on here as 5th, but I think just from what I've heard, the Dolphins really like Winfield. And, of course, son of former player Antoine Winfield Sr. I think he could definitely slide in there and be a pretty good player. 27, Seattle goes Yetur Gross-Matos. Some think Epinesa. I think Gross-Matos is better just because of the competition. I think Epinesa is one of the 3 or 4 players I got to watch a decent amount of film on, especially with him being in the Big Ten. I got to watch him a lot. I watched his film, if I'm correct, against both Wisconsin and Michigan State last year. Getting off blocks has been one of his issues that I saw when it wasn't highlights. He's coming into that backfield, but you don't really see him against the linemen a lot. And I think that's going to be his only issue. But besides that, he's still way too good of a player to not be a first-round pick. 28, Patrick Queen to Baltimore. They need a middle linebacker, similar player to C.J. Mosley. I think they'd like Kenneth Murray more than Queen. I think Kenneth Murray's way more of a fit, but I think Queen's still a very good player. 29, Tennessee going A.J. Epinesa. He's an edge, a guy who, if you really want to buff him up, put him in to that defensive tackle position to replace Jarrell Casey. I think Epinesa's a good fit there. At 30, the Green Bay Packers going Justin Jefferson. It's a big slide. I think him and Reagor are close. Some may be surprised at Mims. But I think we could possibly see a slide for Jefferson. I think one of them is going to go at 15, either Reagor or Jefferson. And then receivers are just going to die off until the Packers at 30, and that'll be the other one. 31, the Niners go Marlon Davidson. He's a guy you could keep at edge. Maybe skim him up to be a speed, really fast rusher. Keep him where he is to be like a power rusher with some good speed. Or put him inside to be a big power rusher at deep tackle. And to finish things off at 32, Kansas City going running back. Someone like DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins, Jonathan Taylor. No. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, running back out of LSU. This guy has been, I think, rising on my draft board. I think he fits their scheme, similar to Swift. But for me, I think he's a little underrated, playing with Burrow. Swift was more used to probably running the ball than Edwards-Helaire was. And I think receiving it out of the backfield was something he did a lot more than Swift, which is why I think Casey would go with him here. So I just want to thank you guys for watching. This is my 2020 mock draft, which basically is like the one trade changes everything. There's a bunch of trades. I'm not going to count them. There's probably at least 10 in there. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Tomorrow, before the draft, I'm going to release my official one. Not going to be quite as crazy, like Browns trading up to 2 and then trading again. But probably something a little bit more realistic. So I thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video tomorrow for my 2020 official NFL mock draft. See you guys.